Hi planty friends, I'm Carly and welcome back to my channel, The Planted Carly Flower. Today is going to be another substrate video all about pon. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly when it comes to pon, and I'm going to give you the lowdown on my situation with pon and what I feel about it and how it works for me in my environment. So stick around, grab yourself a drink, because it's just water. And we're going to talk all about it, so I'll see you in the next part. How do you guys like my little fan today? This is my, I didn't feel like doing anything to myself hairdo. Fancy, ain't it? Anyway, today we are going to talk about pon. I love pon. I'm going to just put it right out in the open. I'm not even going to wait till the end of the video to give you my thoughts. Pon is probably one of my favorite substrates to put Hoyas in. For a few reasons that we will get into throughout the video. But, oh god, if I had to rate them, pon and cocoa husks would be like married for first. Leca would be... Leca's not bad. I like Leca, but I do like Leca more for rooting, and I do love my soil. So, you know, those are the ones that I use the most. Pon, cocoa husks, Leca, and soil. So yeah, absolutely, pon is definitely a great option. We'll talk a little bit about it today. I'll give you the details on what I do to care for my plants in pon. I'll go over a little bit of what I've seen others do so that you can have an idea of what else is out there. And I will show you my setup with pon, and we'll just go we'll go all the way into it. We're gonna get down and dirty with it. So hopefully at the end of this video you'll be a little bit more informed about pon if you haven't tried it yet, and I would love to see some of you guys give it a go and do a little bit of an experimenting. Battery died. Anyway, I'm back. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, and we're going to start with the very beginning and get it super simple, and we're going to talk about what pon actually is. Pon is an inorganic substrate for houseplants that is made up of rocks, different rocks and things like that create the substrate for your plants. There's many different DIYs out there, and then there is a name brand called Lechuza pon, which I believe is a Germany-based company. Don't hold me to it. I'll have to look that up. I will link their page down in the description box below. People did take to making DIY versions of Lechuza pon because Lechuza pon goes out of stock very quickly and stays out of stock for periods of time. It's very hard to get a hold of. Unless you are really quick and know it's there, it sells out pretty quickly, and I've only been able to get a hold of it once, and I bought the biggest bag I could because I had already done DIY pon and knew that I was gonna like it. So DIY pon and Lechuza pon are pretty pricey. I think that the name brand pon is probably pretty on par with a big bag of soil. Leca, it's about 40 bucks for a big bag of Lechuza pon. But if you're gonna DIY your pon, it can get a little pricier depending on what you put in it. In my particular mixture, I use pumice, black lava rock, and zeolite. Those are the three things I use. There are some amendments that others use that I will mention that can add some additional moisture to the pon if you're feeling like it's running dry a little too fast. And that's a clay pebble, which I will also link in the description box down below. If you are wanting to know about anything that I'm mentioning, I'm going to do my best to link everything. If I miss anything, just shoot me a comment down below. And hey, you mentioned clay pebbles, but you didn't link them. Boom, I'll get you that link. And I'll edit the description. But yeah, so like I said, my DIY pon is pumice, black lava rock, and zeolite. You can use red lava rock, you can skip the zeolite and go heavy on the other two rocks, whatever you want to do. I just do equal parts of all of that. Zeolite is easily found in like fish and aquarium stores because it is a rock substance that people like to use in filters and in their fish tanks. It actually filters out impurities, much like charcoal would in soil. Zeolite filters out impurities and things like that in the water of your pond. I found it on Amazon for like $4. That was the cheapest one that I could find, and you get 2 dry quarts with that. I buy my pumice and my black lava rock from Bonsai Jack on Amazon. I will also link those down below. And it is pricey, but it was the cheapest I could find in the quantity that I wanted. So that's what I went with. And Bonsai Jack is actually a well-known, reputable company for cactus and soil substrates and things of that nature. So I felt really confident that I was going to get a good product. And I was happy with it. I did get a good product. I got nice, chunky, thick rocks, and that's what I was looking for. And I have no complaints. I will put a picture of pond up here so that you can see what it looks like, and I'll put some footage in of some plants in pond at some point in the video, whether it be during while I'm talking or at the end. It'll be there for you. I also have a highlight about my DIY pond on my Instagram, so if you're interested in checking that out, it takes you through the process of mixing it, showing what I got, where I got it, showing you screenshots of the products. So that's also a good resource for you if you would like to see more about my DIY pond. Instagram, I have a story highlight all about it. But yeah, so that is what my DIY pond is made out of. I know some people feel that it runs out of moisture a little too quickly, so they started adding some sort of clay, like a rock clay to their substrate to hold a little bit more moisture. And I've never tried that personally. I don't seem to have a problem with holding moisture. I do use self-wicking pots to wick moisture up into the pond and keep the pond substrate damp. So I haven't needed that, but I know that a lot of people just use it like regular substrate and do not use a reservoir and just water it. I have hiccups again. And just water it, so like a regular plant, and they wanted more moisture, and that's what they did. So absolutely, there's several different ways to do it. I'm just gonna speak generally about the way that I do it because I don't want to give you information that's inaccurate based upon the fact that I've never used clay in my substrate. So that is what I use. And to prepare my pond, I mix it all together. I don't measure and 1 cup and 1 cup and 1. I don't do that. I just pour it till it looks like it's all about even. Again, lazy right here. I don't measure it. I just pour it till it looks like there's an equal amount, and then I mix it all up, and then I run it some water through it. It doesn't really matter if it's hot or cold water. I've used both. If I'm going to use the pond pretty quickly, I try to keep it more of a room temperature water. That way it doesn't shock my roots. But definitely don't run it through your drain and through your sink. There will be rock sediments and things like that that will come out of the pond. Don't want that in your pipes. Run it into a bowl and empty the water outside, or do we one better since it's going to be spring soon and it's warm, and rinse it outside with your hose. But yeah, I just basically rinse it however method you decide to use until it runs clear and the water coming out of it runs clear, and then you're ready to go. I do have some repotting with pond videos showing you exactly how I pot it up. If you would like a good visual, I will link a card here or link it in the description so that you can go check out that and see how I pot things into pond if you'd like a visual. But I'm going to go ahead and walk you through it now. And it's just like any other substrate. Put a little layer of pond at the bottom of your pot. Hold your plant the way you prefer it to sit, and fill up pond all around it until it's stable and you're good to go. It's just like potting up in soil or leca or anything else. I find that I have less issues transitioning from soil to pond. I do cut the roots down to about 1 inch around because your plant will grow more water roots. I basically leave about 1 inch of roots all the way around for stability for the plant. It will grow, like I said, it'll grow more water roots and things of that nature. So that's not a concern. I don't find the need to get all the dirt off of the pond or off of the roots or anything like that. I find that it does pretty well. Even if there's a little bit of dirt still stuck to the roots. Now, you do not want to put a gigantic root ball in your pond. This is along the same lines as leca. It works through a capillary action. It draws the water up the rocks. And if you have a giant layer of roots between two layers of rock, the rocks aren't touching each other, and it's going to disrupt that wicking and capillary action. So make sure that you have a root system in the pot that's going to allow for the rocks to adequately wick water all the way up to the top. Like I said, I cut my roots to about 1 inch around, and I just let it grow its own new roots that'll weave through the rocks a little bit better and be a little bit more substantial for bringing that hydration and nutrition to the plant. But yeah, planting in pond is super easy. Preparing it's pretty easy. I just keep a big mixing bowl full of the pond, buy my plant stuff, spoon some of it into a sifter, and then I run it under some water, and I'm ready to go. It's really simple and easy. And pond is also reusable. You can boil it after you've used it and reuse it on another plant. Now, if you boil the Lechuza pond name brand, the difference there is the Lechuza brand pond has a slow release fertilizer coating on all the rocks. If you boil that, it will kill that fertilizing coating, I'm pretty sure. But you can still boil it and then just fertilize on your own. Which brings me to fertilization. Again, I'm a one-trick pony. Foliage Pro by Dynagrow, 1 teaspoon in a gallon of water, and I leave my little water, I pour the water through it, leave a little reservoir for the wicking action on my pots. I use, again, self-wicking pots, and boom, you're good to go. It's super simple, it's super easy, and I love this stuff. My plants thrive. They just thrive with it. I see no need to change or try anything else. I'm happy with it. So yeah, that is basically fertilizing. I do that every 2 weeks. I flush the pond just like I do the leca to get all of like the minerals and the buildup that could possibly be in there. I flush it. I run the leaves underwater. I clean the pot. I clean the inside of the water reservoir. I rub the wick because there's a cotton wick. I rub that to get all the sediment out of that, and then I put it all back together and give it a little reservoir, and it's good to go. I do that about every 2 weeks or so. I actually have to do that today, so I need to hurry so I can go do that. I'm not going to pretend like with 200 plus plants that doesn't get time consuming to do that. It sure does, but I'm sure you can find some sort of schedule that will work for you and make it less tedious. If you do a couple every day or big bulks every other week or whatever, you know, you can do what works for you. I know some people that don't even flush their plants. They just continuously top off the reservoir and then just flush them once every 3 months. It's whatever works in your environment. I prefer to do it every 2 weeks. I feel like I see better growth out of my plants when they're kept clean, but it's absolutely planter's choice. Whatever works for you. Let's see here. Rooting in pond. Rooting in pond is one area that I don't feel like I can give you a whole lot of personal experience. I absolutely prefer to root in leca. And once I find something that I like and works, I definitely don't see reason to uproot my life. I should try rooting in pond. I really should, so that I can give you some accurate information and just so I'm a more well-rounded plant person in general. But I definitely prefer to root in leca. To root in pond, you definitely have to water it a little bit more often, keep the substrate a little more damp. But other than that, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work well. I've seen lots of people root in pond with no issues. It's just not something that I do. I use leca for all my rooting needs. But yeah, so I can't really give you too much information on rooting. I'm so sorry about that. Maybe we'll do a rooting in pond like video and we'll try it together. If you're interested in seeing something like that, a little time lapse, you know, I'll start a video and then in 3 months finish the video and then release it so we can see what the plant looks like after it's rooted. Please let me know. I'd be happy to start something up like that. It's the perfect time of year for it, so let me know in the comments down below if you'd be interested in hearing or watching a rooting in pond video. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty much it. Pond is really simple. It's very easy. I, with the self-wicking pots, don't have a whole lot of issues with my care for the pond. And that's, I think, why I like it so much. It's very hands-off for me. I rinse it and fertilize the plants, and I check the reservoirs every couple days, which I don't even usually have to do anything to. Typically, the only time I even have to do anything to my pond plants is when I flush them, which means I'm tending to them and watering them every 2 weeks. It's ideal for me if I ever want to go on a vacation. It works really, really well. If I was ever planning on going on a week-long, 2-week-long vacation, I would probably work on moving most of my plants to pond before I went, because it would be ideal. I don't have to touch those suckers for like 2 weeks. They are perfect. They're good to go. Since all my grow lights and everything are on timers, I feel like my plants, honestly, if they were all in pond, which they're not and not even close, but if they were all in pond, I honestly feel like they could be pretty self-sufficient for a good 2-week period. I highly recommend that you experiment and try it out. Maybe go in with somebody on getting the ingredients for pond, because that is one downside. Buying the ingredients for DIY pond can get a little pricey. The pots I use are super cheap and simple, and let me grab one second. Okay, this is my Peperomia Ruby Glow, and this was just like to here when I put it in pond, and it grew all of this being in pond. It's a beautiful, very cool looking alien-ish plant. It's growing a new leaf up here at the top, but anyway, it's in pond. These are the pots that I use when I do pond. They lift right out, and they have the wicks, those need to be cleaned, and the water reservoir, which also has fertilizer in it. It has liquid dirt in it as an experiment I'm doing, but it could probably use a flushing soon. But yeah, these are the pots I use. All of my pond plants are in these pots, and they work really well, and I get like 6 pots for like 12 bucks. They work really well. They're super easy. They're all the same white with the black trim, so I think they're really cute. But yeah, those are the pots I use, and they work really well for me. I will, like I said, put some footage in here of other plants that I have in ponds, so you can kind of just see what I'm talking about. But if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please definitely leave them in the description box. Please, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'd love to have you be a part of our family, and I really hope you guys get to spend some time today with your plants and enjoying everything that they have to offer you. Have a good day.